Anyone else feel like we're stuck doing the same thing over and over and over again? Well, sure seems like it, because once again, the charts are doing the exact same thing they've done basically every day, single day for the last 5 days. We've been up, we've been down, we've retested 90 cents, and now we're waiting to see what the day is going to bring. I want to talk about obviously what has brought us down to these prices yet again. Want to point out a couple things across the market that people need to be aware of, and we need to talk about something coming later this week that all eyes are going to be on. So if you guys are new or haven't already, show your support for the channel down below. Hit that subscribe button, that bell. It's free to do. It'll keep you updated anytime there's new content live here on the channel. So yes, ADA has been up and down. It's kind of like we were talking about. We're setting higher highs almost every single one of these days, which is a great sign. This might be a day where you're going to deal with a little bit of uncertainty from the market. We basically came out of a low volume weekend. We got our early week dump. Go figure. Mondays seem to be a day that the market just doesn't like. Every market just wakes up on the wrong side of the bed apparently every single Monday except for August 4th. But we did this same exact thing last week. If you guys remember, we have the red, which actually led us to a nice pump. So maybe that's what we have ahead of us. We do need to hold support today. I will say that if we aren't holding support in terms of ADA at around 90 cents, guys, we might be on the verge of a push back down towards, 84, 85 cents. That's where our 20-day moving average coincidentally also sits. And this isn't to scare anyone or create, fear or uncertainty or anything like that. That's just, what the charts have done historically speaking. I will say BTC right now back within that bull flag it was creating before. We're testing our 50-day moving average. I want to remind everybody here, we did this exact same thing right before BTC went on a nice rally. This was just after BTC set an all-time high. So it's possible we could be basically creating a similar bounce and extension there as well. And Ethereum actually coming down and retesting that 4250 level like we talked about. Didn't know if we would get it with yesterday's green candle, but here we are. And now if Ethereum doesn't hold, I keep saying that weird. If Ethereum doesn't hold, we could be on the verge of a 20-day moving average retest there as well. So just a couple things to pay attention to as we get through the day. Now, here's what we kind of dealt with here. We got this overnight selling, and we got a bunch of long leverage liquidations. We can see this in terms of BTC, all that leverage that pushed up very close to price. We talked about that being there. Unfortunately, we just did not get enough gusto over the course of the weekend, enough push from the crypto market. Again, it was just a low volume weekend. It is what it is. Saw the same thing in terms of ADA here. We had longs chase very close to price. And of course, as the market started to dump, we got into some of these long leverage liquidations. And here we sit right now. Now, what I will say is slightly concerning is just the amount of leverage that we have right below here in terms of ADA itself. Very, very thick concentration of leverage, hundreds of millions of dollars right here. What the promising sign is that shorts haven't changed what they've been doing. They're just chasing price down. They keep filling in right above here, which means that if the market wakes up and decides to buy, we could very quickly be accelerating back towards, lo and behold, prices that we've seen many times before over the past several days. Okay, that's kind of where we're at right now. In fact, something promising as well is that Ali Charts posted that there is a current buy signal that flashed on the hourly from the TD sequential in terms of ADA. So he said, we might in fact be ready for a bounce across the market. Now, the good news, guys, is that we've kind of reset and cooled down just a little bit throughout the space, even as we've gone through this sideways action. For example, the crypto fear greed index is actually at a 56. We're back in this neutral range, which is a great sign. In terms of ADA, we were also, even though we're at the same prices that we were back here on Thursday of last week, we've actually seen this this stochastic RSI about 10 points lower than it was at that point. So that's really good. Now, I will say we're going to have to watch here because we did get that weekly bullish flip like we've been talking about and anticipating here, which means we are on the bullish side of the weekly. When we've done these things, we've tended to have some extensions. So it's possible that this setup could be very similar to what we saw last week, where we kind of putzed, guys, actually it's about exactly the same, right? We putzed around. We were just trying to hit support at about 78 cents or so, came back down, retested, and then we extended through the rest of the week. Now, something I want to remind everybody of this week, and this is probably going to be what people have their eyes set on most, is the Jackson Hole Symposium. So this is actually going on in the later half of the week, and on Friday, Jerome Powell is going to be speaking at this symposium. And as you guys know, a lot of the market banks on what Jerome Powell says. Now, here's my expectations for this. He's not going to say anything. he's going to be very close to the vest. That just seems to be always how he approaches these discussions and announcements. That, or I don't even want to say announcements because there's nothing to announce. He just plays things very close to the vest, and we're not going to get him, tipping his hand at what's coming here in September. And I've seen some people say, oh, we're not getting rate cuts. Some people say we are getting rate cuts. I believe we are still going to get rate cuts in September. I don't think it's going to be anything significant. We're talking either a quarter or 50 basis point decrease. Some expectations are that we're going to get 3 rate cuts this year still. Would not really surprise me if that was the case. We actually had worse economic data that led us to rate cuts in the fall of last year. So that's what I'll kind of say from here. So we'll watch and see how the day plays out. As long as things don't get dumpy in the markets to begin the day, I would expect a bounce once again. That wouldn't really surprise me. So I appreciate you guys as always. I hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know your thoughts. How do you think we're going to kick off this week? Do we see some red today with a bounce coming in the mid to later half of the week? But have a great day. Show your love below. Catch you guys in the next one. Take care.